may have one more, but it's going to be dominated by great Texas leaders that are doing amazing things. So we have a lot going on. So Bill, I appreciate it. It's always so good, to be on here with everybody. And I know that folks are turning it up big time, to compete and to grow their business and to be able to do something big.
Well, John, you're the biggest Texas star. So thank you very much for all your commitment to us and making us, and congratulations on all your success in Texas. You got to be leading the pack of all those folks.
Well, it was funny, Bill. I might have shared this with you before. I've been getting emails from the home office saying, "What are you doing in Texas? What's making Texas so good?" And I give all these reasons, and they said, "None of them have you said that you've done anything, John." And John Addison told me a long time ago, "Be careful what you take credit for." So that's what you guys get up, because you guys are doing. We carry the water a little bit, but you guys are carrying the football for sure. So
thank you very much, John. We appreciate it. And we got Brad Girard. Brad, are you on?
Yes, sir.
Wow, I've been looking forward to this. We needed this. You really changed the landscape for all of us that listened and implemented. I think it was December we had you on for the first time, and then we had to get you on probably a month or so later because I wanted to hear some more. And then of all the things I was thinking about, what we needed right now was another dose of Brad Girard. So congratulations, Brad, $1 million earner from Vancouver. If you ever been to Vancouver, you know why he lives in Vancouver. It had to be the most beautiful city in North America. So Brad, looking forward to your genius today, and it is going to be a thrill to have you. Can't wait to hear it.
Wow, man. Thank you, Bill. And John, good to see you, buddy. Best mustache in Primerica for sure. Look, it's an honor, Bill, and that opening. I just hope I can live up to it. I was thinking the other day, when you text me about that day that I spent. I was 25 years old. I was so broke, I could barely put gas in my car. And I got invited with Kevin Zirk to come and spend a day listening to Bill Orender in Bellingham and just across the border. And it was like yesterday. I remember sitting exactly where I was sitting with a notepad. I could not believe that Bill Orender, this icon hero, was in front of me telling me how to build a business. And, and like I said, I'd never forget that. And all of a sudden 33 years have gone by. It's just crazy. And I guess the biggest message is don't quit. I mean, over that 33 years, I've seen so many people come in here, so talented, way more talented than me, with so much more potential than I had. But they quit and I didn't. And, I think the biggest challenge that a lot of people have in our business is they see, as soon as they come up against any kind of difficulty or any kind of, obstruction or any kind of resistance, they see that as a sign that this is not for them, or that they don't have the right personality, or that God doesn't want them here, rather than seeing it for what they should see it. Which is simply a test that will help them improve. And so I just, all I am is just somebody who was too dumb not to quit. I think, honestly, that's about it. And things worked out. And I did a couple of things right. I've always been really focused on trying to improve myself. I believe, this is what I really believe. I think that this is not a difficult business. It's like a science problem or a math equation that you've got to solve. And, what you don't know is what is stopping you from moving to where you want to go. And so I'm always on a quest to try and figure out what I don't know that I don't know. And I think what I don't know that I don't know about the business and about building and about business in particular is far more than what I know, or what I even know that I don't know. And so I'm always on a quest to try and find answers and try and figure this thing out. And I think I said last time, I'm going to die. I know I'm going to die long before I'll ever try and even come close to figuring this thing out. But I'm going to die trying to figure this out, trying to figure out how to do what Art Williams did. That is, the goal, And so anyway, I hope that I can share a little bit of value. I think at the end of the day, the most important thing that you heard today was just don't quit. I mean, that I think is the value. And so let me show you my screen here. Bill, let me know if you can see that. Okay.
It's good.
Okay. So here's what I know. If you've been around for a while and it hasn't taken off for you, it seems like when you watch PFN TV or you go to the convention or whatever, it seems like if you haven't made $250,000 your first 60 days of being here, you're a loser, right? And that it appears like everybody is making $1 million and you're not, and there's something wrong with you. But the reality is, that's not the way it goes for most people. I was here 31 years before I went over $1 million of income. And so, but here's what I know. You can't go back and change the beginning, but you can start right now where you are and you can change your ending. C.S. Lewis said that, and I just believe it. I think every day you get up and you get to change the ending if that's what you choose. And so I don't want to look in the rear view mirror. I want to look in the windshield when I'm driving. And that's the way you got to look at it. I believe it takes about 3 to 5 years really to build a significant passive income producing business here. 3 to 5 years, which is really not that long. It seems long, but that time's going to go by whether you focus on it or not. But you're talking about 36 to 60 months of just really focused effort. And you see how fast the months go by in this business. I mean, it's just like unbelievable. Here we are, September, and I'm looking at September. I wake up on the 7th of September and I go, OMG, the month is almost over. I mean, where are we at? What are we doing? And so I think if you look at each month that way, for the next 36 to 60, and you follow, some basic principles, you can't not succeed in this business. But here's the one thing I know for sure. Everybody wants to be wealthy. Everyone wants to be wealthy. The challenge is they want to do it by winning the lottery. Everyone's looking for easy. When the Powerball gets to $1 billion, man, you got everybody buying, lined up for blocks to try and get it. And yet, when we offer them an opportunity to change their life and get financially independent for $99, you can't. It's a struggle. And so the challenge is everybody wants to be wealthy, but they're not willing to sacrifice. They're not willing to live out of their comfort zone. They're not willing to hustle and grind every day. They're not willing to reinvent themselves. They're not willing to change their circle of influence, which is their friends and the people they hang around right now. But that's what you've got to do. And I really believe that. Sorry?
Could you go back one?
Yes, sir.
We need to take a picture. I think people are trying to take a picture. So
I'll send this to you right after. You can send it out to everybody. Perfect. There's nothing that I have invented here. It's all been stolen from many, many people, and a lot of it from Bill. So anyway, I really believe this. You can make money or you can make excuses, but you can't make both. And, you just have to decide what's important. I mean, since we met last time, the world has continued to change, and it's evolving. And, governments seem to have adopted this modern monetary theory, which says you can just keep printing money forever and have no consequence. And they're buying their own bonds. They're paying off their own debt. And, and what it's going to do is it's going to leave a tremendous financial challenge for the next generations to come. And so it's really critical that you understand the moment in time that you're in, and that you get financially secure. And I tell all my people, listen, yes, this is a business of giving. We help clients, we help our team, we help our recruits. If you help enough other people get what you want, you'll get what they want. You'll get what you want. But at the end of the day, You have got to be selfish for a season. You have to put your own oxygen mask on first. You have to get financially independent here. And that's going to require you to make an above average income and then manage your money right. Because if you don't get financially independent, you risk being able to survive and take care of the family, your family the way you want to with the new economy we're moving into. And so this is my hierarchy right now. This is what it looks like. This pays me over $1 million a year of just pure passive income. Probably like Bill, I haven't made a personal sale really since about September of 1993. I haven't field trained a person since then. I'm not saying that's the way that you should do it. That's just kind of the way I set this up. I built this business to finance my life. And so that's kind of the way I built it. And it wasn't that I stopped working in 93. I just moved into a different position. And so I was able at that point in time to start really working on my business versus working in my business. And so today, last month in September, we just produced our 31st and 32nd $100,000 earner. I think we'll have our 33rd before month end actually closes. I've got the 34th should happen right the first week of the first full week of pay in September. And that's really what I do is I produce six-figure income earners. And that's how I sell people. I tell them, listen, I specialize in building six-figure passive income producing businesses. That's what I specialize in. Would you be interested in having me do that for you, or should I just move on and find someone else to do that for? And so that's how I prospect. And so this is our business right now. I've got 15 direct RVPs. All of them have the ring. Our focus is, I titled 2021 the year of the ring. My focus was every single person that doesn't have a ring needs a ring. And so those are all my RVPs. I've got regional leaders with the ring. I think right now I'm seeing division leaders in Primerica with a ring. And so, I think a lot of people feel in the business, well, how am I supposed to make money if I'm not RVP? Like, give me an RVP contract. And I'm like, listen, you need to focus on making money before your RVP, because if you're not making money before your RVP, you're probably not going to make money after your RVP. And so, but I think the challenge is a lot of times it's really easy to forget why you're fighting the war in the middle of or why you're fighting a war in the middle of the battle. And I study World War II. I travel around Europe a lot. I took my dad over to retrace the whole, Normandy invasion, and we're heading back over to Bastogne next year to follow Easy Company into Germany. I want to do that same path, but I think a number of years ago I did a tour in Europe. I'm a photographer. That's my passion. I did a tour in Europe. I went to 11 concentration camps and photographed. I spent days in Bergen-Belsen, in Auschwitz, in Theresienstadt and Ravensbrück, and a number of other places. And, I know when after years of fighting, and those troops, went into Dachau, or they went into Bergen-Belsen, and they saw the concentration camp. It reminded them, after years, months of battle, where they, a lot of times, I'm sure they questioned, what are we doing here? What is the purpose of this? And when they went into those camps, it really clicked with all of them. This is why we're here. And it's really important that you have that kind of in front of you all the time. Why are you here? It's so that you and your family can get financially independent. And sometimes you forget that in the middle of prospecting all day, Zooms all day, cancellations, chargebacks, and all the things that happen along the way as you're fighting this battle. You can't forget why you're fighting the war. And the war is about you and your family getting financially independent. And so, I think Bill wanted me to talk a little bit about, building the hierarchy out and how that happens. And, but I look at Primerica and I've often wondered, well, there's so much recruiting that happens and yet so little hierarchy building that happens. And it's because they're really two different things. Recruiting people and building a team are two different things. And somebody asked me, a while ago, what do you think the toughest part of this business is? And I said, well, it appears to me that the most difficult part of this business is building a productive team. Recruiting is not the most difficult part. It's building a productive team. And so I want to talk about how to do that maybe a little bit. And I think that the reason that so few people build a real RVP producing agency is, first of all, they do the wrong things with recruits. And then secondly, they pick their leaders too fast. They fall in love with people too quickly. It's like a lot of our leaders that are out there recruiting, they're the kind of people that fall in love on the first date. And then they tell the person, I'm in love with you at the end of the first date, and they scare the person away. And that's what happens with recruits. You fall in love with them too fast, you smother them, and so they go away. And then I think that a lot of people believe that their A recruit is part of their A team. And I'm going to show you what that means. But your A recruit, which means that recruit that you get direct to you, is not necessarily going to be a part of your A team. And in fact, in most cases, your best leaders are not going to be people you recruit directly. And I would say it's rare for you to recruit a leader yourself. And that seems like weird because, you say, well, don't leaders produce leaders? Yeah, but they don't necessarily recruit leaders. And because recruiting isn't really a numbers game. And I remember Virginia Carter telling me one time, of all the people that she recruited, none of them became real leaders in her business. And, she said it was always the depth that allowed me to find my RVPs, and then a lot of them don't build an RVP business because they just don't know how. And so how do you build? Well, here's something that you really need to get your mind around, your head around, I believe here. And that is that almost all hierarchies are built wide by building deep. They're built through replacement and roll-up. And these are concepts that very few people engage in building their business, replacement and roll-up. And most big money makers in Primerica are going to make their money really from about 3 legs or less. It's really rare to have like 10 big producing legs in your business. You're probably going to end up with 3 legs or less. If you look at all the big $1 million earners and you go, well, how many big people do they have? It's pretty rare that they have more than 2 or 3 like big people underneath them that like names that And so what that tells you is that most of your production is going to come through building big legs rather than big width. And so that means as important as width is in the business, depth is the key to building out an agency that produces agencies. And those are 2 completely different skills. I see so many people in Primerica, they just recruit and recruit and recruit and recruit, and they're out in the malls and they're working LinkedIn and they're working Facebook and social media, and they just keep recruiting forever, but they never build legs. They don't understand the strategy of building legs. Listen, cold prospecting, and I love cold prospecting. I love the fact that like they did with Bill, they sent Bill to a completely different city with nothing, knowing nobody. And in 90 days, he had a business going. I love that. I love the power of that you can drop us anywhere and we can have a business going, in 90 days. And that's going to be done through cold prospecting. But cold prospecting may be the match that starts the fire, but warm building is the fire. The warm building is the logs. Cold prospecting might be the kindling that you get the thing going with. And so you just have to understand that. So listen, most people get a recruit. They try and field train them. They help them get licensed, and then they motivate, inspire, or hope that they will go and do it. Everyone's looking for somebody who will do it so I can stop doing it. And I see that happen all the time. I'm trying to find someone who will do it because I don't want to do it myself. And that's just a wrong mindset. I don't think you can build it, and so, and then I hear people saying all the time to their team, listen, nobody helped me. Like I figured it out. I did it. And so, you got to go and figure it out and do it yourself. And, Art Williams has a speech, the do it speech, just do it. Well, what am I supposed to do? You just do it. And one of the greatest speeches ever given, I sat in an audience when he gave that speech. It was electrifying. But, on the other hand, you've got to teach people what to do. You have to tell them what to do, and so don't get confused with strategies of building your business versus the motivation. And so anyway, this is what I believe is the failing strategy of Primerica. And, Cheryl Bartlett taught me a long time ago about circle charts. I use a circle chart all the time. I got one right over here by my desk. Every morning I look at my circle chart. This is what guides my actions. My circle chart really is my business plan, because I'm in distribution. And so I look at that circle chart, and that circle chart tells me where I'm failing, where I'm having success. And this is the way most people's circle charts look like in Primerica. If I say draw out a circle chart, almost everybody's circle chart looks like a Ferris wheel. And it's like a revolving door. Like I recruit this person, and then my focus is to go and get keep getting more people. And then when I say, well, what happened to that person you got last month? Oh, they flaked out, and so I got to replace them. And that's really the business that most people in Primerica are in. They're just recruiting to replace people that have left, rather than recruiting to build deep, rather than recruiting to build teams. And sometimes, you'll find somebody, they accidentally get a recruit for a recruit, but you never see people in Primerica coming in, recruiting somebody, and then in 30 days being 4 deep or 10 deep or 25 deep in a leg. You just don't see that anywhere. And so, and everybody says, well, listen, I got to go and find more people. And I'm like, yes, you do. But where you're finding them is going to determine what you end up with at the end of the day. Like, are you just going back out into the marketplace cold to find the new people? Or are you finding those new people by drilling depth, by building deep? And so I believe this is the winning strategy in Primerica, that this is what I think that you want to do. Now, of course, the cleanliness of theory is no match for the mess of reality. I understand that. And it's never going to look like this, like I'm going 10 deep in one leg. It never does that but this is kind of my direction of what I want to do. I always want to be working the bottom person in any leg. As a leader, that's what I want to do. The power is in working the bottom person in every leg. It's not working the top person and trying to teach them what you know. It's working the bottom person, because the bottom person always is the most powerful person to anchor everybody else in. The bottom person is the motivation that drives everyone else to go get their license, that drives everybody else to go get a promotion. Because when you go deep like this, you engage the most powerful force in the universe, which is called the fear of loss. And the fear of loss is far more powerful than the possibility of gain. You can see that in your business. You see somebody who has the ability of going and doing and getting their division promotion, and yet they don't do it until they get somebody in their business that gets their district promotion. And then they're like, oh my goodness, I got to keep ahead of this person. What do I have to do to get to division? And you're like, how is it you've been here for 8 months and you don't know what you have to do to get to division? Well, I've never needed to, because I never had someone get to district. And that's how you move the business, through the fear of loss. And that happens when you drive deep. Now, obviously, as you're driving deep, you're going to be filling this out. You're going to be getting the 3 who get 3, who get 3, who get 3, which is what I want. But I find that, some people, they go, well, I need 3 who get 3, and they stop going deep until they get that third width one. And I'm like, listen, just keep going wherever the markets take you. See, I don't recruit people, I recruit markets. And my success is going to come through my ability to penetrate markets. And so when I recruit someone who won't give me their name list, which is lots of people, when you recruit someone who won't, they're suspicious, maybe they've been in something before, they don't want to give you the name list. And so I don't just get rid of them. I just say, hey, Next LLQP class next licensing class starts next Monday. You know, I can get you in there. You can get licensed. You can get, and I don't get rid of them. But you know what I also don't do? I don't wait for them to get licensed. I'm going to find someone else who will give me a name list so that I can drive deep, because that's how I build my business. And so let me kind of go through a couple things with you. So I want to encourage you, sit down sometime today and draw out your circle chart and put all the active and inactive reps that have not quit. The inactive reps that have quit, and you know who they are, they never show up. The inactive reps that have quit, don't put them on your circle chart. We want to work in objective reality, not in delusion, right? And so don't put those people on your circle chart. Put the people that are active or even inactive, but they still show up. You know they still want to do something here. Maybe they've just lost their way. Put them on there as your circle chart. And then ask yourself, how many of those people are senior rep? And that's my job as a leader, not as an RVP, but as a leader, is to take responsibility for making sure that every single person who joins this business becomes a senior rep, becomes a client, has a chance to go out and build a business, right? Every single person. That's my job. If someone comes in here and doesn't become a senior rep, that's my responsibility. That tells me that I haven't worked with them hard enough. I've left them too long to cool off. I've allowed them to talk to their own cold or their own warm market. There's something wrong there if everyone coming in isn't a senior rep. And here's what I know, guaranteed, absolutely guaranteed. Every single person that joins Primerica has an easy IBA they can go and get today. Most of them have 3 easy IBAs, the easy 3, I call them. The challenge is if you recruit somebody and then you let them go out and think too much, or you let them go out and talk to the people that they know without you guiding that process, they'll just blow away their easy 3. And that may be the only 3 that you could ever get from them, but you never get the easy 3 because you didn't manage the recruit the right way. And so you got to go out fast. So what I always wanted to do is when I got an IBA, I wanted to anchor that IBA in with an IBA within 48, 72 hours. I want to get their easy one. Like right now, who's that person that they hang around with the most? Who's the person they could call up on the phone and say, hey, look, I found something for us to do together. And when the other person says, well, what is it? It doesn't matter. We're going to do it. Yeah, but I need more information. Listen, shut up. We're doing it. How long have we been talking about we got to find something? We hate our jobs. We got to do something together. Well, I found it and we're going to do it. I think almost everybody has at least one person they can do that with. So then why doesn't every recruit in Primerica that joined get a recruit? In fact, a small fraction of the recruits that come into Primerica end up with a team underneath them. You know, and so why is that? It's because we're not going out and helping them get that easy one. And so that becomes my job. So my circle chart ultimately is my business plan. And so I look at it, I update it every week. In fact, the people in my business, when they want coaching, first thing I say is send me your circle chart before we get together. I want to see what your business actually looks like. And then when I get together with them, I'm going to grill them about their circle chart. Is this person really showing up to any meetings at all? Or are they gone? Like, can you get a hold of this person? Are they interested in doing something here? Well, no, they're not interested anymore. They stopped showing up 6 months ago. Okay, off the circle chart. And in a lot of cases, most people's circle chart ends up just being a blank page. And I'm okay with that because a blank page tells you what you need to do. Looking at a blank page every day when you wake up says, OMG, I've got to go and get some people. That tells you what to do. When you have a circle chart full of inactive reps that are doing nothing, that stop showing up, and you know they're quitting as soon as the next renewal comes along, then you're just fooling yourself. You're looking at that, and that circle chart is going to give you the wrong message. You're looking at it saying, man, what a loser I am. I've got all these people and nothing's happening. Well, the reality is you don't have all those people. And so we want to work in objective reality. So then the next thing that you want to do with those inactive people is call them up on the phone and say, listen, I've just changed my business strategy. I've got a coach that I'm working with. And so we're doing something a bit different now. And I just want to ask you a question. I can take my skill, my insatiable drive, my work ethic, and put it to work for you to help you build a six-figure income producing business here, or I can do it for someone else. Which would you prefer? And if they say, well, no, I want you to work for me, great. Then I need your help. Who do you know? Who can we go get? Who can we recruit tomorrow? Who can you introduce me to? Right. And so you got to press them to get through to get their names, to get through their name list. And so this becomes your mission. This is your mission if you're willing to accept it. And that is to drive every leg, every person in your base shop, not just the ones direct to you, every person in your base shop, 2 levels deep, 3 wide and 2 levels deep every month. And so that means that you should be out there getting 12 new recruits a month. Now, they're not going to all be in your name, but you're going to be responsible for bringing in 12 new recruits a month into your business and helping you get your 3 and then their 3 getting their 3. So look at this. If I recruit Joe, the first thing I'm going to do with Joe is I'm going to say, look, Joe, there's a number of different ways to do Primerica. A lot of people come in, they become really skilled in the business, and they go out and build assets under management, and they become great personal producers. And I've got a lot of people like that make 100,000, 200,000, can make a lot of money in the business doing that. That's one way, kind of the advisor approach. The other way is the business approach. Because we've got advisors and we've got brokers, and we've got agents and we've got brokers. Now, the brokers, they build teams, build and manage teams of agents or advisors and build brokerages. Which one of those would appeal to you most? Now, 90% of the time, they're going to say, well, I'd rather have the brokerage, right? And so then I'm going to talk to them about what it takes to build that brokerage. It's all about building team. It's all about finding the right people. And so the first thing that we want to do, Joe, is we want to help you get 3 people as fast as possible. Now, one of those IBAs cannot be your wife. Now, I want to recruit your spouse, but I'm not putting your spouse in one of those slots because you both know the same people. So it's going to be, if your spouse's name is Judy, then we're going to say Joe and Judy on the top line, because I think a lot of people go, oh, well, I'll get my spouse and I'll get my mom and I'll get, my kid. And I'm like, no, we want people that, so we can expand our market. So I want to go and get Mary, who you work with, and Alan, who's your best friend. And I want to get Frank, who, is a cousin. And those are going to be our 3. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and take Mary, and I'm going to do the same thing with Mary that I just did with you. And that's where the whole business falls apart, I see in Primerica. The reason people never build hierarchies is because they don't do that. They don't take the recruit they got for a recruit and treat them like a direct recruit. What they would rather do is they would rather recruit Mary, Alan, and Frank, and then wait for Joe to get licensed, and then tell Joe, okay, you saw how I did. Now you go and do that with Mary, Alan, and Frank. And they turn the keys over to their multi-billion-dollar business. I've got almost $1 billion of assets under management, about 850 million. We've got $5 billion of life insurance in force. This is a multi-billion-dollar business. And I'm going to turn the keys over to whether that business actually happens or not to somebody who just started, who I don't know if they really are going to stay here. I don't know if they want it as bad as I do. I don't know how motivated they are. And I'm going to turn the business over to that person. That doesn't make sense. I'm the person that has to build the business. And so each person that I add to someone else's team needs to be looked at as the person on the top of their own team. As you drive levels down each person's business, you also begin a new business for someone else. And I think that we forget that. We recruit Joe and we think, okay, Joe's starting with me in business, so I'm going to help Joe go and build his business. But we forget that when Joe recruits Mary, Alan, and Frank, they've also joined because they want to start their own business. They don't want to be a part of Joe's business, but we somehow treat them as they're now a part of Joe's business. No, they're their own people. They want to build their own business. So every month, my goal is to drive everyone's business 2 levels deep. And listen, if you just did that, there's nobody should ever come and say, I've run out of people to talk to. I don't know where to get a recruit. I don't know where to get a kitchen table. That should never be an issue if you understand how to build this business, if you do the right thing in driving through markets and just going and getting the easy 3. And so, because each person you recruit now becomes the top of their own sheet, the top of their own business. And that's your job as a business builder. So we've all seen Where's Waldo? People go, well, who in that group is going to be an RVP? I got no idea. I'm just going to keep drilling and building and drilling and building and drilling and building until somebody emerges. And that's what happens to people. You see them, they become competitive. I remember sitting in the I went down to California and I went to the Southern California Breakfast Club, and I was talking to Susan Carrion when she was just an RVP, and she introduced me to this division leader in her base shop, Mario Arizon. And this guy, and she told me this kid is writing $10,000 a month of premium every single month. And I'm like, wow, man, that is special. A division leader writing personally $10,000 at 19 years old. You knew this kid was going to be something. He emerged. Now, Susan will tell you he was like the 650th recruit they got. And all of a sudden he emerged. They couldn't tell Mario was different than everybody else until he emerged. And that's what happens. They will show themselves to you. Those are the people you never have to call and say, hey, are you coming to Saturday training? Are you showing up? They're not the people that you have to call and say, hey, what's your goal this month? They'll tell you what their goal is. They want to be coached. Right? Those are the people that compete. If there's a contest on, they want to fight and win the contest. Those are the people. They want to lead their own team. But it all starts with you going out and getting one, you lighting a match, starting the fire. And so I recruited this guy, Dennis, and he was a cold call. He was an engineer. And a week after he started, I got him to come with me to Tampa to the company convention was in Tampa that year. And I think there were 6,000 people that went to that convention in Tampa. And I got this guy to buy a ticket. I said, listen, if you really want to know whether this is for you or not, come to Tampa with me. It's going to cost you, $1,000 to do the trip. I said, but that's a small price to pay to know whether this is time well spent or not, as to whether you can build this thing here. And I said, listen, if we come back from Tampa and you say, listen, that was a total waste of my time, I'll reimburse your $1,000. Don't worry about it. And so a week later, he shows up to Tampa with me. And so we went out and recruited some people for him, got a bunch of clients for him. But back at that time, you had to be full-time in Canada to get licensed. And so it took a long time for people to get through the process to start getting their license. But him and I were sitting in a restaurant for lunch one day, and he said to me, what do I do when I run out of people to talk to? And I said, that's easy. There's people all over. Nobody should ever wake up and say, I don't know who to talk to. What? There's millions of people all over the place. Come on. And so I said, well, watch this. And when the server went back into the kitchen to get our food, I ran up to the counter, stuck my hand into the business card fishbowl they had, and pulled out a handful of business cards out of the fishbowl. And I went back to the table and I said, you see this? Somewhere in here, there's an RVP. Not direct, probably the odds of somebody there being an RVP. No, but someone's going to lead me to somebody who lead me to somebody. There's an RVP in here. And so he was just stunned. He's like, oh man, that's unbelievable. I said, here's what I'll do. I'm going to call these cards. And if we find someone, that's going to be your person. And I called the cards and I found a guy named Rick. He showed up to the meeting. At the end of the meeting, he said, I'm not really interested in this. I'm an electrician. I couldn't do this. And I said, hey, fantastic. Who handles your IRA? Who's doing your Roth IRA right now? Could I compete for your business? He said, well, I don't really have anything going. I'll call you. And I'm like, okay, next. Right. And that's the way I looked at it. 2 weeks later, he calls me. He says, hey, are you still doing the meetings on Tuesday night? And I said, yeah. He said, I've got a guy. He's interested in I told him about, he wants to come out. And I said, bring him out. So he brings out Mike, and Mike's an electrician on the job site with him. And at the end of the meeting, Mike said, this is what I've been looking for all my life. And said, I'm in. Same meeting. And so Mike said, I'm in. I said, great. I looked at Rick and I said, Mike's joining. What about you? And Rick said, well, if Mike's in, I'm in. The fear of loss. And so Mike, we got going with Mike. Now, we recruited people, but these are the people that kind of stuck and led me to people. Mike recruited a lady, Edie, out of a business directory. He recruited another guy. Well, I recruited him out of part of his warm list. Gary worked at an electrical supply place for electricians. Gary had a friend named Shelly. We went and recruited Shelly. Shelly did a manager call at a fitness club, recruited a guy named Dan. I sat with Dan over coffee. Dan said, my goal in my entire life is one day I'd like to make $100,000 a year. And I said, you're at the right place. Join me. I'll show you how. Dan recruited Evangeline and Greg. Evangeline brought in her niece, Lisa. Lisa recruited a guy named Nathan off a resume that she got out of her work. And guess what? All those people quit. Dennis quit, Rick quit, Mike quit. They all quit. And these people became RVPs, and these three have their ring. And all three are direct to me through roll up. So I got Edie. Edie who just rolled up to me when all those guys quit. And then I took a replacement. Then Dan rolled up as well because Mike quit. So I got $200,000 earners from Mike. And then I took the replacement from Dan, which was Evangeline, that gave me Lisa, her niece, and gave me Nathan. So all three of them are direct to me through roll up and replacement. And then I recruited Jerry. It was a cold call I made. He was a realtor, and he actually showed up to the meeting and didn't come in. And when I called him back, I said, hey, something must have come up. He said, oh, I've been to one of those meetings before. And I said, really? Well, I'm really sorry. And he said, why are you sorry? I said, well, I didn't think you were the kind of person that would jump to a conclusion with without all the facts. So I kind of misread you. I apologize. He said, no, I like to get all the facts. I said, well, you didn't get all the facts this time. And he said, well, maybe you're right. And I said, okay, I'm going to come up and see you and your wife. And I went up that afternoon, recruited him and his wife. She was an accountant because I wanted her market. I wanted access to her market. And 2 weeks later, he introduced me to a guy named Matt who got licensed. One of his very first client was Bev. We went and got Bev. She ran an ad and got a guy named Gene. Matt also recruited a lady who he was friends with from school, who introduced him to Amanda. He got Georgianne. Gene got a guy named Brian, who was a friend of his. Brian actually recruited Diane, who was his sister. Georgianne got a friend of hers who was a client, Jocelyn. Jerry and Georgianne and Brian quit. All the rest of them are RVPs. Every one of them has a ring. Every single one of these people have a ring. So Jerry, unfortunately, Jerry passed away. He was a great guy, but Jerry passed away. But look at what I got from Jerry. Matt's my number one income earner. He makes $400,000 a year. In the last 30 years, 28 years that they've been in the business, Matt's been in the business with me. What have I made off of Matt, just his business and all of those rings there? It's staggering. But you see, if I wouldn't have gone deep, none of that would have happened. See, it all starts with getting one person. And this is where your business comes from. It comes from finding people, then going under and recruiting for them and recruiting for them and recruiting for them. Look at this one leg, Jackie, that I recruited. I remember that like it was yesterday, sitting with her at a food court in the mall and saying, are you interested? She said, yeah, come on out to the meeting Tuesday night. She came out on Tuesday night. I said, who do you have that we could go and build a team with? She said, my roommate, Al, I think he'd be interested. I said, give me Al's number. I'm going to call Al and meet him for coffee. I met Al. I recruited Al for Jackie, recruited Ray for Al, and then just kept going down in that thing. All of these people are $100,000 earners. The only one that's not a $100,000 earner, Christoph, we're waiting for a big trade. He's got a $300,000 trade that should be paid by probably Thursday or Friday. That'll put him over his ring. Every one of them, $100,000 earners. Ray's direct to me. Elaine is direct to me. Patrick is direct to me. All from roll up and replacement. So that's my business. But this is where these people came from. Dan was 7 deep from me. Dan was the guy, the fitness club guy. He said, all my life, all I just want to do is make 100,000 in my life. He's going to make 200,000 bucks this year. Terrence and Carol, 20 deep. My brother, Will and Susan, 3, 3, 5, 6, 4, 3, 4, 4, 2, 10. And I think the challenge, a lot of people say, why is this not working for me? Why am I not getting traction? Why can I not seem to find good people? Well, it's because you don't understand how to build depth. Building width is a completely different mindset. And I find in Primerica, as much as people hate prospecting, they would rather cold prospect than drive deep through markets. And maybe part of it is they're afraid of blowing away someone's market on them, or they when you're cold prospecting, there's no responsibility, right? If someone says, "Oh, I'm not interested," okay, I'm just move on to the next one. But when you're recruiting underneath someone and someone says not interested, now you're taking that a little more personal because you've got somebody watching you. And so you've got to just understand, I believe that depth is the way you're going to build out a business here. And the challenge is, here's the challenge. Every day your goal should be to add a new person to your business. One name a day to your chart. It doesn't mean one name direct. It means one name a day to your chart. Every person in your team wants to grow, make money, and build a business. All that is needed is a leader. Call everyone every morning and ask them, "Do you want me to work for you today?" "Well, yeah, that'd be great." "Well, you're at your job. Would you like me to be working for you? I'll be your employee and you don't even have to pay me. Would you like me to work for you today?" "Yeah, I'd love that." "Great. Who do you have that I can call?" Give me a name. Get new names and contacts and go to work adding names to your chart. You can recruit a person a day. It's not that difficult. Go get a person a day. Let me give you a great resource. I read this. I followed Eric Worre for a long time. He's got an amazing YouTube channel, 1,000+ videos in there from the best recruiters in the world, talking about recruiting and distribution, how to invite people to meetings, how to recruit people for people. I mean, there's just so much content in there. Nobody in today's day and age should ever sit and say, "I don't know who to talk to. I don't have anybody to contact." No one should ever have that. Get onto YouTube and type in there, "How do I find prospects to recruit today?" You'll find 1,000 videos. There's no excuse for not building. It all comes down to one thing. How bad do you want it? How bad do you want to make this thing work? Because if you want it bad enough, this thing will work for you just like it's worked for me. There's nothing special about me. So today, like every single day, I wake up and I scour the earth for potential. And it may seem like a weak talent pool. I understand that. But sprinkled amongst the unmotivated masses are the unsatisfied beasts. They're the Bill Orenders, the Brad Girards, the Mario Arizons. Those people are out there. We're not that special. They're out there, but I got to go through a lot of unmotivated masses to find those people. But that is what motivates me. When will I find the next one? Who's next coming into my business that's going to take off? And so let me just kind of leave you with this. I look at it this way. I'm writing the book of my life. We're all writing the book of our life. Every year of my life is a chapter. Now, the last year, the chapter is going to be different than it normally is in my life. It's going to be a different kind of chapter. It's going to be a chapter of the great pandemic. That's going to be the chapter of my book for that year. Hopefully next year, it's going to be a different. But I want my book to be a thrilling adventure story of inspiration and triumph. What's your story going to be? Is it going to be a manual like for a dishwasher? Is it going to be like a romance novel? Is it going to be a crime drama? What is it going to be? We got one life to live, one book to write. How do you want it to look like? And here's what I can tell you. Until you get the financial issues solved, until you get passive income coming in, till you've got a business built that is paying for the life that you want to live, you have got to dedicate all your energy on that. Because once you get financially independent, there's a whole world waiting for you on the other side of financial independence. And that's really what Primerica was built for. Art said it. So anyway, Bill, I don't know if I did the right thing for you or blew all your people away. Hopefully not.
You did the perfect thing, Brad, and I love it. The responses, but I love the truth, and I love the respect that you gave and you give Art's system. And I really like the quote that you have. about I'm still trying to figure out how Art Williams did it. And that's so humble because Art Williams created something that all of us can copy. Most people choose not to, and I don't want to dwell on why they don't, because that's a negative. And I want to dwell on what you just explained, because it was perfectly explained how Art Williams did it. And talk for a second, Brad, about the cornerstone reason to do this is to fund, F-U-N-D, your perfect ideal life. And that's what you've done. You didn't do it just to do it, to be a legend, to be $1 million earner. You did it to fund, and it takes money. Talk about the life and the travels. All those pictures that you sent are not from postcards. Those are actual pictures you took when you were there. Talk about that for a second, because that always stimulates me.
Well, that's really why I did the business is, at 22 years old, I sat down and wrote out my first life list and, of what I wanted my life to look like. And I did that because somebody gave me an article at a Tony Robbins seminar. I went to Tony Robbins when I was 22 and I could not afford to go. I was married. I had, I think my wife was pregnant and I could not afford to go to Tony Robbins. People were angry at me. I had no food in the house, and yet here I was spending money going to Tony Robbins. And I met a lady there who handed me an article written by a guy named John Goddard, who wrote this article called He Wanted to Do It All. And he talked about at 15 years old, he wrote out his life list. And when I got the article, he was 59 and he had knocked off 106 of the original 127 goals that he had written down. And he had things on there like climb Mount Kilimanjaro and ride an ostrich and fly a fighter jet. And not one of his items was get a good job with a big company. And when I read that, I thought, man, what a way to live your life. What a way to live your life. Adventure to adventure. Imagine the greatest life possible. You write out all the things you ever want to do in your life, every adventure that you want to go on. And then you die the day after you knock off the last item. What a great way to live. Now, that'll never happen because each adventure you go on reveals new adventures you need to do. I mean, so, my list just keeps growing and growing, but I believe this, and I don't remember where I got it, but somebody said at the end of your life, most people regret what they didn't do more than what they did do. And I can remember my grandpa, when he passed away, my grandpa grew up in the Great Depression, and it changed how those people saw money. And he died. He had $500,000 in like 10 different bank accounts. He had tins of money in his house under his bed. He was so afraid of being broke that he couldn't spend any of his money. And he said to me one time, I wish I would have gone back to England to see where my dad came from. I wish I would have gone to Australia. I wish and I thought, I'm not going to live like that. I'm not going to wait till the end to die with my dreams still in me. I want to live them now. Now, the challenge is, how do you finance a life like that? It's incredibly expensive. How do I finance that? And so I spent from age 22 to 24 trying to find a funding mechanism, a way to do it. Whether it was a lottery or a business, I needed something that would give me enough money, had to be passive, enough money coming in so that I could live the life that I want to live. And I just, whatever you believe, God or the universe or whatever you believe, I think if you want something bad enough, it will, just the awareness that you create over that desire, you'll find opportunities all around you, and that's why I think sometimes we recruit people and they leave. Jim Rohn says, stop asking the question, why is this guy leaving? Why did this guy quit? Stop asking that question. He said, I didn't take that class. Who knows why they quit? The bird got them, you know, and that's the way you've just got to look at it. Why did they quit? Their goals weren't big enough. They didn't have a big enough desire. They didn't have clarity in their life over what they wanted, you know, and they weren't at the right place at the right time of their life to do this. That's why they quit. So I got to go and find the people that are, and that was me. And when I saw this, my whole focus was, I've got to get this thing done so I can start living my life. And 5 years in, I was 30 years old. I had 5 RVPs, about 50 full-time agents and advisors. That was paying me about $15,000 to $20,000 of pure passive income at that time. And that was when I got out of the field training business. I got out of dealing with clients, and I started living my life list. And I focused on building the business and trying to show people this life. And it's kind of like, Bill, if you go and see a really amazing movie, you never keep it to yourself. You've always got to call people and say, man, you got to see this movie. This was unbelievable. And that's the way for people like Bill and myself, people who get financially independent here, who get to live like this. It's so great. We don't want to keep it to ourselves. We want to tell other people, and we're yelling it at you, man, pay the price. It's so worth it to live this kind of life, you know, and yet people, they don't believe us, you know, in a lot of cases. And so it's not about the money. It's always about the freedom, you know, whether it's seeing Mount Everest, whether it's, you know, being in Japan, or I was in Greenland just before the pandemic hit with a bunch of Russians. They brought a couple of Russian sailboats over, and we photographed these amongst these great, amazing icebergs, Scotland, I go storm chasing every year. I couldn't the last 2 years. The border's been closed. So, but I'm just hoping the border's going to open up, I believe, soon. And so we'll be down next year in Tornado Alley. Hopefully we won't be coming to a town near you. As we look for tornadoes, but, you know, whether World Cup in Brazil, the Tomatina, the greatest tomato fight in the world, it's Borneo, working with in an orphanage with orangutan. If you've never had an opportunity to, you know, hike on the Great Wall of China, it's an amazing experience, or Africa, you know, whatever you want in life is available for you. And it's available through the funding mechanism called Primerica. And when people say, I'm struggling with trying to find the motivation, Brad, to get up and prospect every day and book appointments, I'm struggling with it. Maybe this is not for me. And I'm like, no, that's not the issue. If you don't love prospecting, guess what? You're normal. Nobody loves prospecting. Prospecting sucks. Taking rejection sucks. Booking appointments sucks. Working, you know, getting someone's name list and having to call them. All that stuff sucks for most of us, right? It's not supposed to be enjoyable. If broccoli tasted like ice cream, we'd all be healthy, but that's not the way it is, right? And so you do those things to get to the nice candy filling inside. You do those things so that you can get the life that comes out of paying the price, making the sacrifice, and living out of your comfort zone for a season. And I want to assure you, because I think it was Ronnie Barnes that said one time, I was so broken. I remember Ronnie saying, it's not about the money. If it's about the money for you, you're probably not going to make it. And I'm like, it's about the money, man. I need money. I'm trying to pay my bills. Like, what are you talking about? It's not about the money. That's what rich people say. You know, poor people, it's about the money, you know, but Art always used to say, I think it was him that said, however great you think it is to be financially independent, it's 1,000 times better. And I want to tell you, it's 1,000 times better.
Well, Brad, you just hit a home run today for me. And, my thought on these Tuesday meetings, I don't care if anyone else is on it, as long as I'm on it, because I'm unsatisfied. I'm once you've been hungry, you can never be full. And that's what you're telling us. There's so much, you know, and percentage wise, Brad, I mean, most people only see about 1% of what's available in it.
Yeah.
And you want to max out your life. And we just lost an RVP at 54 to COVID. Mm. And he would do anything to come back now. Of course, he's in heaven, but yeah. And say, if I had to do it over again, I would do more, travel more, get it over with, build a hierarchy. Right, Brad? Talk about that, and then we'll let you go. And how this is the time, either now or not.
this is the sell. I mean, I think, I know Art, I don't know Art like you knew him, but, I know Art. He was so unsatisfied when he left here and felt like he still had so much more to do. But it was really difficult to feel too sorry for him because he was out on his yacht and flying his private jet. And, the guy, like in 12 years, he really he built a business that made him a billionaire in 12 years. I mean, it's unbelievable what he did. And, I think that, I just think it's so worth the price. I'm sorry to hear about your RVP. I've got a RVP partner right now that is in a coma in Abbotsford, close to us, one of my direct RVPs. And they got COVID last week. She said to Ray, her husband, this isn't that bad. It's almost like just having a cold. And the next morning she couldn't breathe. And they brought her in, intubated her, and she's in a coma right now. And, we're just hoping each day that she can recover, but I agree. Life goes by in a second. I'm 58 years old. I'll be 60 in 2 years. It makes me angry. I go to McDonald's with my grandson, and buy a coffee and stuff like that. And they immediately they give me the seniors discount. I'm upset about that. Like, what are you doing? I'm not 60 yet, and so, but life just goes by so fast. And I love, I'm just shocked you ever want me to talk. I mean, you are my icon in the business and my hero. I would not have survived without you and some of the other leaders in this business and paving the way and paying that price. What I had to do was nothing compared to what you guys had to do. And the fact that you're sitting here, at 62 or 63 years old, and you're like, I am not satisfied. We're all grateful, but people like us, we're just never satisfied, Well,
the reason why you're not satisfied is because there's spirit in you that God placed in you that's causing you to drive. And we always got to give the source of the credit, because you're doing good things for people. You're not making money because you hurt people. You're making money because you did something to bring value. Like you said, billions of dollars in assets under management, billions of dollars of life insurance in force. Look at all the people that are making money, making 100,000, 400,000, $500,000, because you were unsatisfied. And I'm proud of you, Brad. I'm proud of anybody that chose this uncommon life to have an uncommon outcome.
I'm happy to be here.
I love these pictures you're sending.
I want to show you this. I took this in Scotland 2 years ago. I love going to old cemeteries around the world, in Europe and Asia, because you don't see cemeteries like this. Look at this. This guy died 24th of December, 1252, 73 years old.
Wow.
When he was 58, my age, what was he thinking? What was going through his mind when what about when he was 20 years old? He thought he was going to be here forever. He thought he had a whole life to live. He was probably like most people, kind of like, oh, well, I'll get to it tomorrow, because, I got a long time left. And he lived till he was 73, which was really old back then. But he's been dead now for almost 900 years has gone by. That's like Art always used to say, we're here for a flicker, man. Everything that you want to do in this life, you better get done, because you're not getting out of this life alive. So you better get everything done you want to do. And I love that commercial that says, you got one life to live, act accordingly. Stop fooling around.
I like Brad, that what you do here on earth will echo in eternity.
Yeah.
There's a reverberation coming in the rest for eternity for what you accomplished in this life. Well, thank you very much, Brad. This was iconic. man, did I need this. I needed this so
Oh my
bad.
goodness.
A refresher course in arts principles. And you're the perfect person to do it.
Well, I love you and I love art. And, you know, it's sad that we're getting older, but we get to share this wisdom with the next generation and try and hopefully get as many people. We're throwing a life preserver in the water right now, and a lot of people are just would rather tread water, but you know, we'll do our best.
Well, we lost Harold Crafter, you know, one of the original 85 that override Sam Shepard. He was making $1 million a year. His wife still is. And Harold has not worked for 40 years.
Yeah.
And that's got to understand it. He's not had a really hierarchy. He's been doing other things ministry wise. And his family is going to get that money. And our friend, my guy named Kevin Harper, he left his family a generational wealth. So, Brad, Art Williams would be very proud saying he aced it. He aced the test. If he needs to figure out more, it's amazing because you just about you got it aced. All right. Thank you very much, Brad.
Thanks, buddy.
We'll see you all
soon.
next Tuesday. All right. God bless. All right.
Take care.